guys didn't hear, I hired a new editor.
Hey guys.
He's really excited. In honor of that, we're gonna talk about 5 mistakes people make editing all of the time. Oh, and we're giving away a laptop.
Like the video, comment on the video. We love your support. Hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the button.
Thanks Asus for sponsoring this video. The number one thing people say as the reason for why they haven't gotten into filmmaking or YouTube or making videos is the editing. It feels scary and complicated at first, but it's really where so much of the magic of storytelling happens. I recently made a whole video on my editing workflow from start to finish, and it's actually really fun when you learn it a little bit. So let me help you out in your journey. Here are 5 mistakes people make all of the time in their edits. Number 1, your edit is boring. It's just plain old boring. And how do you know if your edit is boring? Well, my test is if you're watching it back or somebody else is watching it, if there's ever a desire to watch it in 2 times speed or skip through a little bit, your brain just can't take it anymore. It's so bored that it wants to speed up the process of watching that video. That means your edit is boring. And then sometimes you edit a video or a section and you just want to keep watching it over and over and over because it's so good. That's when you know you have it right. But the question is, how do you go from that boring to that exciting edit? Well, it just takes watching it back, and when you notice that you're losing interest, you need to solve that problem. Literally, editing is just problem solving. It's almost like a puzzle. You're trying to figure out these pieces, how do they fit together the best so it's the most entertaining and best way of telling the story that you're trying to tell. That's all it is, figuring out what parts are working really well and what parts aren't, and then going through it and tweaking it and figuring it out until it's actually really fun to watch. And many times it's because the pacing is off. Not that every edit needs to be crazy fast and just going, but there are certain sections that need to be quick and tight, and then others that need to breathe, that need a little bit of extra time. And the main thing here is storytelling. Editing is all about making the story come alive with the tools at your disposal. And there's so many different ways that you can go about telling that story, so it's your responsibility to figure out the best way to make your story come alive. Some aspects of a story need to happen quick. For example, a travel montage. Your brain can process so much so quickly, and it's probably not that exciting, so make it quick and tight. Versus if there's a really important moment, something life-changing happens, you shouldn't rush through that. You should give it time, let it breathe, and really play out what's happening. Quick, fast, crazy, epic transitions and cuts aren't always the best way of telling your story. Pacing is one of those things that's really hard to learn and teach because it is kind of vague and takes a lot of practice. But how do you know that your pacing is off? It's when it's getting boring. So play around with the pacing until you enjoy watching every section of your video. Remember, the story dictates the pacing, so some sections might not be as interesting or as important to the overall story, so get through those faster. And then when you get to something that's pivotal for your story, take the time and tell that in a little bit slower pace. Now, one of the really interesting things that I've seen working with a bunch of different editors and having 3 different editors now for this channel is that a lot of people get lazy and tired because they're just too slow. You don't even get to the good stuff, the stuff that's the most fun in the whole editing process, just because it takes you so long that you're just so tired and you just kind of give up by the end of it. So much of the cool, fun editing comes right at the last stages of your editing workflow. And here's a few things that I've seen some of the editors that I've worked with that just really slow them down. One of them being re-watching your edit. Especially my younger brother, he used to just watch over and over again. He'd edit a little bit and then start from the beginning and watch, and then edit a little bit and then start from the beginning and watch. That takes up so much time if you're constantly watching it over. Try as much as possible to not re-watch your edit. Typically, I edit through pretty much the whole thing, and then at the end, I watch it through through and see which parts need work. Unless it's like a really tight B-roll section that needs a certain rhythm or certain pace, then I'll watch just that little section over and over again to make sure that that's good. But I'm not going all the way back to the beginning and then watching it through up until the point that I'm at. That's just a big waste of time. 2 is not using the right keyboard shortcuts. I feel like a lot of people think they're using keyboard shortcuts, but they're not. Keyboard shortcuts speed up the process so much. Watch my editing workflow video to find out what keyboard shortcuts I think are the best, but definitely make sure you're using keyboard shortcuts. And lastly, staying focused. A lot of people, while they're editing, take little breaks. They go on Twitter or they check their phones. You really need to stay in the zone, and all of those little things take you completely out of the zone, and then it takes a while to get back into that zone or that flow. It's way better to be in that flow state, rip through all of that basic kind of more boring edit, and then you have the time to do the real fun stuff. Instead of spending hours on the basic editing and then not leaving any time for the really cool finishes. And not only do I want to help you by giving you some editing knowledge, but also by getting you some gear. And because I'm a judge this year at the ASUS Pro Artist Awards, we're giving away this high-end ASUS StudioBook Pro, and there's a chance to win over $100,000 worth of prizes. ASUS Pro Artist Awards is a free-to-enter design competition for creative enthusiasts and professionals. The theme this year is Explore Beyond the Limits, and I'll be a judge of the film category. They really want to see creatives push the limits of their creativity and let others see the world through their eyes. And ASUS is helping by creating professional tools for us to use in our storytelling process as creative professionals, like the ProArt display. It's a 32-inch 4K mini LED display with wide color gamut, accurate color, and it's easy to calibrate with their software, and they even give you a tool to calibrate it. And colors are one of the most important things for me as a creative professional, and for you, I'm sure too. You don't want to color grade something and then it just doesn't look good at all because your display wasn't calibrated and the colors weren't accurate in the first place. Or the ASUS StudioBook Pro, built with an Intel Xeon processor, NVIDIA RTX A5000 graphics, 4 terabytes of SSD storage, 64 gigabytes of RAM, and a high-quality 16-inch 4K OLED HDR display. And all of the connectivity from Thunderbolt to HDMI to Ethernet and even an SD card slot. But my favorite, probably the most interesting thing, is that there is a built-in dial. You can use that dial to adjust the brightness or volume, but even better, you can pair it with something like Premiere Pro and use the dial to finesse your settings. Very interesting. I've never seen anything like this in a laptop, and we are giving this away to someone in North America because of shipping reasons. Just comment down below with your Instagram and what you would use the StudioBook Pro for. What would it help you with as a creative? And if you're not in North America, make sure to click the link down below and enter the Pro Artist Awards, because there's over $60,000 in cash up for grabs and all sorts of ASUS hardware and exposure, and even the possibility of working with ASUS in the future. Huge opportunity for you, so make sure to check out the ASUS Pro Artist Awards, and thank you so much, ASUS, for sponsoring this video. The number 4 mistake that a lot of editors make is not using all of the tools. A lot of people just forget or don't even know that they have all of these other tools in the tool bag. Sound effects, sound design, motion graphics, color grading, transitions are all different tools that you could be using to enhance your edit and make it more interesting, add depth or levels to your edit, and ultimately better your storytelling. Even the little things like emphasizing a certain section or keeping attention using a slow zoom or punching in for a second, these are all little tools that we can use, and the only way to find them is to keep learning. In the end, I think a lot of people just don't pay enough attention to each individual cut. because that's all that an edit is in the end, is just one cut after another, and each cut should be done with purpose and precision. A lot of the times, even just a frame or two difference in the edit, the cut, can make a massive difference in the pacing or the rhythm. For example, if you're editing A-roll talking head like this, if you just have a few too many empty frames, it really slows down the pace and the rhythm of the talking and the edit. If I'm editing something like this tutorial, I keep the edits really quick and tight so the momentum keeps going and it doesn't get too boring. But if I'm editing something like the Being series and somebody says something really interesting, I'm not gonna right away just add a cut and go to the next talking point. I'm gonna let it breathe, and you have to really feel for, is it 20 frames? Is it 50 frames? Is it 2 seconds, 5 seconds of footage? That cut can really make or break that moment. Or if you're doing comedy, it's so important that you cut at the exact right time. Just a few frames here or there can completely kill or make the joke. Each cut is super important, so don't just say like, oh, that's good enough, I'll just cut there, and that's good enough, I'll just cut there. And do it with purpose and precision. And remember, audio and video don't need to cut at the same time. So these are called J cuts or L cuts. J cuts are where the audio of the next clip comes in before we actually see the next clip. And an L cut is where the audio from the first clip actually extends over to the next clip. And these are really great storytelling tools to add intrigue to what's gonna happen next. They work really well for transitions, and they even work really well for talking head A-roll like this. If you wanna just make it a little bit more snappy, but you don't want the video jump cuts to be too jarring, you can use J cuts and L cuts to make it a little bit faster, a little bit snappier. I'm telling you, it can make a massive difference. And don't forget to edit to the music. If you're using music, the best case is for the music and the visuals to kind of blend into this even better experience. There's no real rules as to how you edit to the music, but make sure you are listening to the music and then editing according to that. It should almost blend together and enhance the storytelling of just the music by itself or just the video footage by itself. It should be better when combined. Edit to the music. I'm telling you, every single cut matters. You can have just one section where your cuts are a little bit off and a person can really lose their attention, and therefore you can lose your viewer or the storyline can be lost. So make sure you're doing it with purpose. I hope you guys enjoyed these 5 mistakes that I've been seeing a lot and things that I've taught to the editors that I've worked with so far. Editing is one of those things that you're always going to be learning more and more, and there's the new little tricks, new little tools that you're going to learn to enhance your storytelling. So don't give up if you're just starting out. It feels like way too much and all of this sounds very complicated. The more you do it, the easier it'll get, and the more you can add those different tools to use in your edits. Isaac, have you ever given away a laptop that's worth thousands of dollars?
No, I haven't. I've never even owned a laptop that's worth thousands of dollars.
What's it been like working for me so far?
No, it's great. You know what? He's completely different than his videos. Tough, controlling. It's wonderful.
Think you're gonna last in the YouTube world?
It's one of the questions that's asked at graduation all the time. Do I think I'm gonna last in the real world? Well, my Uncle Joe says no. Go get a real job.
I think we're gonna make a good team. Is that a tear? Are you crying?
I'm Tempo 2.0. I'm just gonna start dressing like him.
You need a beard. Can you grow a beard? There's a little bit of stubble.
See, I shaved it right here. Nothing like Tyler's.
Yeah. You want to see a beard?
Tyler's the man.
Fake. That almost looks fake.
Comment down below if you want to get this. You're gonna be in charge of choosing somebody, so.
Someone lucky is gonna get this computer.
And it's not Telegram people saying,
Yeah.
Telegram. We're gonna do it legit.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen the scams on YouTube right now. Literally every channel has them. They're like these scammers with weird WhatsApp Telegram numbers saying that you won something and then they ask for like shipping money or something like that. This is not that. This is a legit thing. Don't fall for those.
We will like DM you directly. You'll see that it's us and our faces.
Yeah.
Now that's probably giving a scammer.
Yeah, more ideas.
Some of these things that you guys are saying is exactly what a scammer would say. you can't trust anyone on YouTube. Don't trust them either.
If you want to send me shipping money, I'll take it.
I'm not even sure if I have this job.
Trust nobody.